Lynn Woodward, tell me the Datsun story.
So the Datsun, again, I had been writing, now probably for about 6 months to a year. Mm-hmm. And, you start seeing your colleagues and, it's not like anybody in this business makes a fortune. Like you're not in it for the money. But I saw that other people had second cars, third cars. It's like, what's in your fleet of cars? And they didn't have to be expensive. They didn't have to be, sort of ritzy cars. But I started thinking, well, maybe a second car is a possibility for me. And maybe that's not something that is unattainable. And my mind, and I thought, well, playing that game in your head, what would be in your perfect garage? And there aren't enough garage doors for my perfect garage. But I think I kept going back to that Datsun that I saw in the parking lot at Bob's Big Boy. And I started doing research on it, and I loved that it was the precursor to the 240Z. I loved that that there were just so many things about that car that were sort of part of my origin story. Mm-hmm. And I was just looking on Craigslist one day, as we all do, and I found this one in San Diego. And I thought, oh God, it's perfect and it's beautiful, but I can't afford it. And so I just sort of let it go. But every single time I would go back and Google, like every once in a while, it would still pop up. A couple months would go by, I'd go and it would pop up again, or a couple months would go by and I'd look and it was gone. But you could tell like the guy was not really like pushing it super hard, but also was like, it was just sort of sitting there, just kind of languishing. And probably 2 months before I got my job at Kelley Blue Book, and I was still freelancing, so there was not anything like steady income. I looked at this car again, and I was like, this is here. It's still here. And there was just something inside me that was like, it's your car if you want it. And I've never been one of those like, I want this and I have to have it. And if I don't, I'm going to be really disappointed. I'm one of those people that's like, look, if it happens, great. If it doesn't, great. Because I don't want something that's not supposed to be mine. A job, whatever it is.
Sure.
But this car just sort of kept speaking to me. And a good friend of mine and I, we drove down, and he's a mechanic, and he looked at it for me, and he was like, yeah, it's pretty good. And it looked like it was in great shape. And most of those cars, unfortunately, have kind of been let go. I think a lot of them have deteriorated over the years. So there are not a whole lot of examples that are out there for sale that don't need a ton of restoration. And I just did not have the time or the money or the knowledge to do any kind of restoration myself. And this was one of those cars. It was like, look, it's going to need probably a little work, a little engine work, but I can do that myself with some help, and I can learn more about not just this car, but about engines and about everything. And every single light that I hit was a green light. And it all just kind of fell into place. And my friend Derek, we took his trailer, we pulled it with his Audi all-road, which was amazing. And we piled this tiny little beautiful thing onto this trailer and pulled it home. And I've had it for just over a year now. I love this car. I've done tons of work on it. I've changed all the gaskets on it. I'm actually about to change the master and slave cylinder for the clutch because it's all out of whack and it's all old. But yeah, I love driving it. I love working on it. It makes every single person who sees it, so many people smile about it. I've had so many people literally stop me and go, oh man, my uncle drove one of those in college, or that was my first car ever. And I think that to me, just the seeing the joy that it brings to other people as well as the joy that it brings to me made all of it worthwhile.
The Road Stories podcast is recorded and edited by me, Michael Senderovich. If you like the show, please leave me a review wherever you listen. It helps the show greatly. And finally, please follow me on Instagram at Road Stories Mike. Thanks so much for listening.